find the correct weight signal or otherwise. We might try and catch up with the winning rider, Jimmy Cassidy, in just a moment. Alan Denham, we'll have him in just a moment as well. We'll see if we can get in and have a chat to Jim Cassidy, because this truly is a remarkable story in racing. It is just amazing to think that this man has come back after all that he's been through. And we might see if we can get a word to Jim.
Correct weight?
Correct weight has been declared by Mr. Des Gleeson. Weight is right. And Jim Cassidy will be with us very shortly. I wonder what they were thinking, the connections of Doremus. When they went past the post, Greg Hall waved his arm in the air, and Dan, I think he thought he had his second Melbourne Cup.
Yeah, I think he made everyone on track believe that he had too. It was a spine-tingling finish, and Might and Powers got the bob. $5.70 and $2.90 is what he will return for a $1 investment. Two Doremus, $3.70, and third Markham at $8.90 for the place. The Quinella, $29.10 on the Cup. The Exacta, $46.40. The trifecta to come. The running double for 12 and 3 will pay $245.70. So a weight on the trifecta will be quite a reasonable dividend. 3, 2 and 16. Pete, fourth in was Harbour Dews, that ran a great race. Fifth in was number 14 Linesman, who ran a bold race. And sixth in was Arabian Story.
Yeah, but the best run in the race, I suppose, well, there was an inch difference between the best run and the second best run. And Lee Friedman's here quickly. What are the emotions after that?
I'm pretty down. I thought he'd got there. I thought he got there right on the line. But take nothing away from the winner. It was a magnificent. I think there were two great, outstanding horses for the finish out.
Did you think he'd won, Lee?
I thought he'd won. And when Greg sprang up after the line, he's usually pretty good in the finish. I thought he got there.
Hard luck.
Yeah, no worries. Okay.
Lee Friedman, the trainer of Doremus, beaten a lip in the Melbourne Cup. Here's Mark Aston with winning jockey Jimmy Cassidy.
Yes, thank you, Peter. Jim, how are you feeling now? What a wonderful moment, and probably one of the greatest finishes in Melbourne Cup history.
Yeah, look, what a... first time in my life I've been speechless, to be honest. You know, it's meant a lot. I've been very, very focused this last week, and thanks, Danny. You know, to win this for myself, yeah, I've won a Melbourne Cup, but to win it for Jack Denham is it's better than icing on the cake. I don't know how to say it, but you know, Jack's been... I don't get emotional, but I'm very emotional at the moment. It's for Jack's support since I've been back, and he's... thanks, Shane. Thanks, mate. For Jack's support since I've been back has, to me, been overwhelming, and he said to me, he said, look, stick with me. He said, we've got a lot to happen in the next, you know, 12 months, 2 years, and just to win for Jack and Alan, and you know, it's just marvellous. And my good mate, if you're watching, Malcolm Ayab, and his very, very personal friend that's always been there helping me through the tough times 2 years ago, and he was here this morning helping me have a rub here, and I love you. I know you're watching. I love you all.
Mate, Jack doesn't talk to the media, we know that, but what do you think he'd say now if he was speaking to everyone?
Look, I know Jack. It's going to be very emotional for him too. He's won Golden Slippers, he's won Derbies, he's won Oaks. And to win this Melbourne Cup is something that he's obviously lived for in his training. And for me to be able to do it for him, you don't know how happy a man I are. And look, I'm a bit speechless at the moment.
You'll celebrate for a couple of years by the sound of this.
Oh yeah, thanks, Damien. Look, this is what racing's all about. My manager was Gavin Gleeson. We sat down prior to the Caulfield Carnival, and we said, look, this is my carnival. We're going to make it a big one, because I was on the sideline for a couple of years, and I've never had the desire in my guts that I've had the last 12 months, the last 9 months. It's been marvellous.
Congratulations, Jimmy, on behalf of everyone all around the world. Well done.
Thank you, and thanks to Channel 10.
Back to you, Pete. Jim Cassidy, a very happy boy, very emotional, the winner of the 1997 Foster's Melbourne Cup on Might and Power.
And well, he might be, Mark Aston, because it wasn't all that long ago that not only was his career in turmoil, but his life was in turmoil. Today, on the 4th of November 1997, Jimmy Cassidy is once again on the top of the mountain. We'll be back for the presentation of the Foster's Melbourne Cup after this break.
Now, after what was an absolutely stunning 1997 Melbourne Cup. What a go that was. I tell you, you've seen a real champion. Jimmy Cassidy was sitting on his back, and he knows there's our light ship taking that shot. that he was sitting on a champion in might and power. And there he is, wearing the Foster's Melbourne Cup rug. I'm really looking forward to this presentation. Here's Rob Gaylor.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Some emotional scenes, some wonderful scenes up here on the stage to begin our presentations for the 1997 Foster's Melbourne Cup. Would you please welcome the chairman of the VRC, Mr. David Burke, CBE.
Your Excellency, Sir William Dean, Governor-General of the Commonwealth of Australia and Lady Dean, Your Excellency, Sir James Gobbo, Governor of Victoria, Mr. Prime Minister, Mr. Premier, my Lords, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I wish to congratulate the connections of the winner. It was another great race and well worthy of the traditions of the Foster's Melbourne Cup. I thank Foster's Brewing Group for your sponsorship of this great race. It gives me great pleasure to introduce to you the President and CEO of Foster's Brewing Group, Mr. Kunkel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, and winners and losers. I guess once again we've been privileged to be the witnesses to another spectacular piece of Australian sporting history. In this country, and in a few others as well, the Foster's Melbourne Cup is the greatest gamble of them all. In this, the 13th year of our company's sponsorship, we're still very excited to be part of this historic race. This is a great national occasion, one that brings all of us together like no other sporting event, and it opens up a great facet, I think, of our national character to the watching world. What they see is a people full of spirit and hope, people who have a go, people who enjoy getting together and having fun, and that's regardless of any gambler's luck. To today's winner, Might and Power, he really has delivered a fitting spectacle for the race, which is recognised as the world's greatest all-age stayers handicap. My warmest congratulations and that of my company to the owner, Nick Moratis, to the trainer, Jack Denham, and to the jockey, Jim Cassidy, and to all those who didn't win or get a place, because without them and their commitment to this great sport of kings and battlers, there wouldn't be a race. I like that great unique gambling philosophy which espouses that the greatest pleasure in life is to win, but the second greatest pleasure is to lose. And in that spirit, we'll remember this. It is now my great honour and privilege to invite the Governor-General of Australia, Sir William Dean, to present the 1997 Foster's Melbourne Cup. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Your Excellency, Prime Minister, Premier, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, whatever wins the Melbourne Cup instantly becomes special. It's better, though, when what wins it is a champion or a coming champion. Our winner today comes into that category. Today it's become the 10th horse to win the Caulfield Melbourne Cup double, and it joins champions such as Poseidon, the Trump, the great mare Revette, Even Stevens, Galilee, and of course that other great champion Doriemus, which was so magnificent in defeat today. Today was a special Melbourne Cup for another reason. For the first time, Her Majesty the Queen had a runner, and he performed very, very well, finishing 6th, if my counting's right. Her Majesty has asked me to say that whatever the result, it's been a great thrill to have a starter in this great race. And she's also asked me to pass on her personal congratulations to the connections of Might and Power. This I do. Finally, on behalf, I'm sure, of everyone at this magnificent course and all the millions watching on television or listening on radio, I offer our warmest congratulations to the connections, to the owner, Mr. Moraltis, to the trainer, Jack Denham, whom I'm pleased to see has joined us with his son Alan, to the jockey, Jim Cassidy, and to the strapper, Martin Steen. And now, with very great pleasure, I propose to present the Melbourne Cup to the owner of a great horse.
Sir William Dean, Honourable Prime Minister, Mr Burke, Chairman, members of the committee, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I feel very, very proud being here this afternoon. I can't tell you how proud. I owe it to three people and a racehorse. I owe it to Jack Denham, his son Alan, and my jockey Jim Cassidy, and to the beautiful Might and Power. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much.
Governor General to please present the trophy, and while Jack Denham has probably not one to come forward and speak too freely to the meeting, we respect his wishes, but representing him today is his son Alan Denham.
Yeah, sure. Mr. President, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, there's not much more I can add to what Nick said. It's been a great training performance, a great ride and a great horse, and I'd also like to thank all the staff at home. They all can't come away, and Brett Grant, the track rider. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alan. Congratulations, Jack, too, on a job well done. And the man who steered the horse to victory, ladies and gentlemen, about to receive the trophy here from Mr. Kunkel, Jimmy Cassidy.
Mr. Chairman, Governor, members of the VRC, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It's not normally that I'm stunned for words, but today I really are at this moment. To be standing here at Melbourne Cup Day, to be part of the atmosphere, to be part of the race is something very special. But to come out and win the Melbourne Cup, which to me is the greatest race in the land, is just so special. All my thanks, and I'll say it again, all my thanks go to two wonderful people, Jack Denham and his wife, Alan Denham and his wife, the stable staff at Denham Stable. A special thanks to all the boys back home, to Marty, to Brett Grant, which has been well publicised by myself and Alan, that to win any race is a team effort. But without Brett and Alan and Jack, these things can't happen. It's a very, very great time to win the Cup. A few people I'd really like to thank. My wife, Helen, has been very supportive over a number of years that we've been together. My manager, Gavin Gleeson, my great mate who was here today and left to fly back to Perth at 3 o'clock this afternoon, or sorry, 12:20 this morning, Malcolm Abe, he was here this morning with me, rubbing me in the sauna, and it's always a team effort. To my darling daughters at home, I know you're watching, I love you, Daddy will be home soon. To all the Melbourne public, keep coming, I love you, you're great people, and I love winning the Melbourne Cup.
Good on you, Jimmy. That's one of the best speeches I've heard. The quiet dignity of Nick Moratis as well. And Myton Power, did you see his face? Deep in his equine heart, he knows he's done something very, very special today. The Melbourne Cup of 1997. What a beauty it was. We'll take a break. Before, we really are having some fun now. You know, this morning our producer said to us there was 1 billion viewers watching us from around the world. He may have been exaggerating just a touch, but wherever you may have been watching us from, you've seen one of the truly magnificent Melbourne Cups. We hope you've enjoyed it. You're hard to please if you didn't, so goodbye to all of you right around the world, and we hope to see you again for the next Melbourne Cup in 1998. And thank you very much for joining us. Okay, would you like to see it all again? I think we should. Let's go from barriers open.
All set to go, the 1997 Foster's Melbourne Cup. And they're ready for a start now. Away they go. The gates have crashed back and the big one is underway. Ebony Grove immediately snagged back to the tail of the field with Count Shivers. Myton Power, one of the best to jump away with Marble Halls. Magnet Bay, Crying Game was up there in the early part. Likewise, Court of Honour. A little further out to Viali, and also Sunny Lane's going forward early. Linesman's a bit wide about midfield at the moment, but it is going forward in the race. Always Aloof was midfield. Wider out then was Sapio. Scrupulous getting back with Skybow along the inside of Doremus, and Ebony Grove is 2 lengths away at the tail. As they come down the straight the first time, and the leader is the favourite, and that is Might and Power. Crying Game is going up to second. Linesman is 3 out, but been hunted forward now. Marble Halls was over on the rails. Around him was the mare Sunny Lane, and then Court of Honour followed by Viali. Yobro was next on the inside. Around it was Sapio. A length further back than a Magnet Bay. They've got a circuit left to travel. Markham's about midfield on the rails. Always Aloof 3 deep on the outside of Arabian Story. Next on the inside was Grand Master. Bonsai Pipeline is 4 wide around Harbour Dews, Alpha, and Count Shivers on the rails. Then came Doremus. Alpha got a bit of a check there. Skybow is back to the rear of the field in between Ebony Grove, the fence, and Scrupulous out 3 wide. They've got 2,000 metres left to travel in the Cup now, and the leader is Might and Power. The favourite Might and Power by 2 lengths. Marble Halls racing with his mouth wide open on the inside. Crying Game goes around Linesman now. Crying Game gets to second. Linesman third. Fourth the inside Marble Halls. And then Court of Honour getting a nice run on the inside of Yobro. A length and a half further back than a Sunny Lane around the outside of Viali, and on the rails was Markham. Then Magnet Bay went off the fence. Around it was Sapio, and out there 4 wide was Bonsai Pipeline. Grand Master midfield on the rails. Then came Count Shivers. Wider out on the track there was Always Aloof. Arabian Story, the grey in the centre. A length further back in the field to Doremus, and then came Viali. A length and a half further back to Ebony Grove. Harbour Dews was about 6th last, but 3 wide. Alpha's back to 3rd last from Skybow, and Scrupulous at the tail of the field. They've got 1,200 left to travel, and Might and Power is the leader. He's 3/4 of a length in front of Crying Game. 2 lengths away, 3rd was Linesman. He's going up on the outside of Marble Halls. Just behind those was Court of Honour. Then came Viali, a length further back than a Harbour Dews. Over on the inside was Markham. Going forward, Yobro got to about 5th. Markham in between runners. Off the track was Sapio. Over on the inside, Grand Master as they start to bunch up behind the leaders. It's Might and Power now being tackled by Linesman. A length and a half away, Yobro on the outside of Marble Halls now being called on. Around the outside, Sunny Lane, Sapio, and further back, Arabian Story. Linesman, he's putting the pressure on the turn. It's Might and Power, the inside end. Linesman together as they straighten up in the Foster's Melbourne Cup of 1997. And Might and Power, he got away again, the fave. He's a length in front. Linesman won't lay down. Grand Master runs on, and here's Doremus. Doremus with a run. Then came Markham and Sapio. Might and Power, the leader. 250 to go. Doremus is after him. Might and Power led a length and a half to Doremus. Then Linesman. Might and Power, the leader. Doremus is coming at him. Doremus after Might and Power. Might and Power and Doremus, they hit it. Oh, it's close. Doremus lunged. Doremus lunged on the outside. Kenny have done it a second second time. It's a photo in the Melbourne Cup. Doremus and Might and Power.
It was a photo. Greg Hall thought he'd won it. Might and Power, $5.70, $2.90. These are only statistics. Doremus, $3.70. Markham, $8.90. There's the Quinella there too. No trifecta just yet. You've seen a magnificent Melbourne Cup, my friends. We'll come and talk about it some more on the other side of this break. It's all over so quickly and lives in the memory for a very long time. Might and Power has actually just gone past us and still full of himself. The big stallion really knows he's done something very special here today. And Jimmy Cassidy, well, that wonderful line, we always get one in a Melbourne Cup, go hard and go home. Well, Jimmy will go home very happy today. And Peter Donegan, as I come down to you, you know, you come to the races to see what we've just seen, and did you notice, you probably in the binoculars saw just the best in the business. G. Hall, Jimmy, Mick Dittman, and Jimmy's brother just showing all of their skill down that final few hundred metres. What a great race.
Tim, I think that's one of the most remarkable Melbourne Cup finishes I've ever seen, and that will live long in my memory. Those two great horses, and as Tim said, two great riders. Greg Hall's reaction for about a minute or so, he must have been on top of the world, Jen, and then all of a sudden his world came crashing down.
Oh, did it ever. He'd feel so deflated, Greg, and hopefully we can get a chat with Greg after this next race, but I'm sure Kim will be very sad too. She's in hospital watching the race, and it did look like for a stride there that he had won, but hey, you can't take anything away from that winner. What tenacity he showed.
Indeed, and congratulations to Jimmy Cassidy too. Well, they're on their way to the stalls. We are thinking of you, Kimmy. I'm sure she is sitting up there watching the race. Let's have a look quickly at these runners, Jen. Wavertree, first of all, now in the John Maher stable.
Yes, his first up record is quite good, and of course he is first up here today. He's a classy performer, and he's definitely a chance in the race.
Kaylee Choice, number 2, raced as Cool Choice previously, and won here at Flemington on Derby Day of last year.
Prepared by John Maher and Frankie Dettori to ride. I think he's got a terrific chance. You know, he's a talented galloper, and I think John Maher would have him exactly right for today's performance. He's there with a good chance. 4 is Lord Wintack, and the rider here is Damien Oliver for Robert Smerton. I don't think you'll find this any easier than his run at Geelong when he finished second behind his Lando, so I'd just leave him with a place chance in this race. Brent Stanley takes the ride for number 5, Miss Dugard, trained here at Flemington by Jim Mason. A horse that really doesn't like racing on the inside of horses, so if she gets her own way, she's definitely a chance here. Civil List, number 7, chased home Jugulator at its last start. Stephen King takes the ride here for Peter Hayes. Yes, a horse that generally does like his races well spaced, and I do think that today he's coming into this with a very good chance. Skybo ran a bold race for Len Smith in the previous race, and Akabono is another one of his stable. Dwayne Dunn, the rider. Yes, Akibono actually ran third in this last year, so I'm sure prepared by Len Smith to run a very good race here, and definitely a chance in the race. And King Midas, number 12, Darren Beedman is the rider here for Bart Cummings. Better known over 1,600 metres, but I'm not dismissing him at all. I do think that he can sprint well fresh here. Well, it's a beautiful afternoon, and can you make it even more beautiful by tipping us a couple of winners in the last two, Jen? Well, Peter, I'm pretty keen on number 7 here, Civil List. The pacifiers are on for the first time. I think it will suit him. Number 5, Miss Dugard, she's a very good mare down the straight, and number 12, King Midas for third. All right, well, I've gone again for one that's going to be at good odds in the race, and this is basically my philosophy today. It's such a hard program. I thought Kaylee Choice, despite the fact that he is first up, he has won first up, but the interesting point is that John Maher has got 4 runners in the race. Let's check out those 4, and indeed each of the other runners with Dan Malicki. Peter, Wavertree is one of those at $7.10. Kaylee Choice at $16. Ruling Regent $30. Lord Wintack at $8. We've got $6.40 for Miss Dugard. Striking Gold at $48. Civil List the favourite, $2.70. Akibono at $24. Endless Power at $18. Straight Clip at $23. King Midas at $8.70, and Italian Affair at $50 is the outsider in this field, Pete. OK, Dan, and word from the Foster's Melbourne Cup is that Count Shivas pulled up sore, and he was in fact the last horse to finish. So for your sweeps, Count Shivas finished last in the Foster's Melbourne Cup. Well, let's go down to the betting ring, and Tim Gossage, first of all, what sort of result for the bookmakers, Might and Power in the Melbourne Cup?
Absolutely horrific, Peter. I was speaking to one bookmaker, I said are you on the canvas? He said, no, worse than that, I've gone through it. He said he's absolutely been cleaned up. Even when the horses were in the barrier, they still came back and took more on Might and Power. A horrific result, and they've come again to the punters for Civil List, standout favourite in this. But I'll tell you what, they're all still talking about Might and Power's result. It was a shocker.
Tim, the word was that one of Australia's biggest punters was behind the plunge on Might and Power prior to the Foster's Melbourne Cup, and he has collected only by the barest possible margin. So this is race 9. We've got 2 to go, this one and the last, which is quite a quality field too, the Hong Kong Jockey Club Plate, and that's where they start at the top of the straight 1,200 metre course. And there are the selections. It's Endless Power from Jennifer, Waver Tree from Richard Friedman, Civil List from Johnny Letts, and Kaylee Choice from myself. But I think Jen also went for number 7, Civil List in that. So Civil List the tip from Jen here in race number 9. Roy Higgins has joined me as we look at the Pivot Superfect Sprint Field moving up into the gates. And Roy, what a Melbourne Cup finish it was.
It's unbelievable. Reminds me very much of the 79 Melbourne Cup. It was my last ride in the Cup with Salamander and Hyperno. One I'll always remember anyhow.
Did you think you'd won that day?
I told Harry I did because I wanted to save 500 with him. Maybe Greg waved his whip and then tried to con Jimmy into saving something.
Well, it was one of the great finishes, I think.
Great, super race, super ride, super effort. I've gone for a couple of first uppers here in the top weight in Waver Tree, and down in the weights in number 12, King Midas. Both first up, both look well, both should sprint well. Of the others, the 5, Miss Jugar, and 7, Civil List. Both look well.
Dual Melbourne Cup winning jockey from Sport 927 and Network 10, Roy Higgins, with his thoughts on race 9, the Pivot Superfect Sprint. As they move in, let's recap on the Melbourne Cup and take a look at these runners. And Dan Malicki, I'm sure you will remember your 9th call of the Melbourne Cup for a long time to come. It was one of the great finishes.
Oh, it was a ripper, wasn't it? Just wasn't sure which way to go. It was very, very close. And one of those super finishes.
Dan, it reminded me when Natsky and Empire Rose went across the line together, and Natsky was chained by Jack Denham and narrowly went under to Empire Rose.
And there's Miss Jugar going into the line. That was a great Melbourne Cup. They were well bunched up at the finish. 2 British horses performed very well. They're just about set for a start. Civil List is the favourite here. They're racing now. Pretty good breakaway. Civil List jumped away fairly. They're going to split up here and split up rather evenly too, coming down the grandstand side of the track. Endless Power and also King Midas was racing very handily. Miss Jugar was there as well, ruling region. Whereas coming down the flat side of the track, we have going through Straight Clip was there as well. And driving up along the inside of it as they come to the 800 was Lord Wintack, and also striking goal at stablemate just behind them. Waver Tree and also another Mar runner and Kaylee Choice are coming down the flat side. So they're running down towards the 600 metres point, and we have sharing the lead Aki Bono. It's hard up against the rails. Civil List has nearly joined it. Then came Endless Power. Up there as well was King Midas. It's handy enough, Miss Jugar and ruling region. On the flat side of the track, Lord Wintack got to the lead. Waver Tree and Straight Clip are coming at it, and they are stretched across the track here down the grandstand side. It's Civil List and Miss Jugar together from Aki Bono, and on the flat side of the track it's Waver Tree and Lord Wintack. Miss Jugar out wide, Lord Wintack and Waver Tree. Miss Jugar, Lord Wintack and Waver Tree, or Miss Jugar. Miss Jugar, I'd say, has won it from Waver Tree and Lord Wintack, and Civil List not far away. They were followed home by Straight Clip, and behind those would have been Striking Goal, Italian Affair, King Midas, ruling region, Aki Bono. Then came Endless Power, and back at the tail of the field, Kaylee Choice. A photo here.
I'd go for Miss Jugar, Dan. Why, gee, you're earning your money today with these races.
That's the truest we've seen them race like that on either side of the track. Waver Tree's down on the inside.